back in Tucson, Arizona. WPH Race for 8, Watch ESPN app. My name is Dave Vincent alongside Jessica Gawley, who is in the women's bracket. Could have been the #1 seed here in Tucson, and I don't think it was controversial because Tracy Davis, who won the tournament last year, is the repeat champion, but I think you actually have a higher ranking than her, but you found yourself on the bottom of that bracket. But congratulations on I'm not going to say your age, but in the late 30s. Congratulations on making yourself back up to the top of the bracket. I think you're ranked number 2 or 3 in the women's pro rankings now. So
yeah, I think I'm at number 3 right now.
That feels good, right? Because you had
good.
a couple kids, you took a little bit of time off. Now you're kind of rededicating yourself to the sport of handball, which you've loved since you've been a teenager, and now you're working your way back up. You kind of got snubbed in the seeds here, but it seems to maybe want to pan itself out just a little bit with the way that the draws were worked out. So congratulations.
Well, thank you. I'm actually happy with the draw. So.
Jessica Gawley coming in from Canada, and we have Steve Cooney here, Jessica, who is living in the eastern seaboard of the United States as he prepares for tournaments on the Race for 8 from Ireland, and he serves that lob serve to Paul Brady from Ireland, and he immediately hits a laser kill shot.
I have never actually seen Steven play before, so
this will
be the first time.
The way Paul plays, you might want to just
might be a very quick.
Keep Steve Cooney on camera as much as you can, because it might not be very long. Paul's a very quick start, just very much like what happened with Dave Fink in that last round. He took care of Vic Perez rather quickly. And that's a great left corner kill from Steve Cooney. So now you know a little bit about what Steve Cooney's game is.
Yes.
0-1.
Jessica, how many years have you been on the professional tour?
I don't know, Dave. A lot.
It would have to be
I'm
close to 20,
old.
right? You probably went to your first pro bracket at least in your late teens.
Yeah, I think when I was still playing in the juniors, I was also playing in the pro at the same time. So I probably started playing in the pros probably when I was about 16 or 17 after I won the Worlds, I think, the first time.
Okay, so then it's a good 20 years.
It's a bit, yeah. Let's not say how many years.
I said a good 20 years. Close to 20, that's.
Point.
So you're qualified to be here, is what I'm saying.
Thank you.
2-1.
Now, our referee has a strange cadence, Vic Perez from Los Angeles. And one of these days we will talk to him, but he doesn't say 2 plays 1. He just says 2 play 1.
I never noticed.
Well, you will.
I will now.
It's, I'm Native American, so our family speaks like that.
3-1.
See,
he
3
does.
play 1.
3 play 1.
It was like, you go hunt elk. I used to get that when I was a kid, so I pick it up really easy. I go, is Vic? Maybe he's Native American. That's a great kill shot there from Stephen Cooney.
1 play 3.
And you said Steven's living is he staying in New York?
Yeah,
training?
he's in New York. Kind of following the footsteps of our good friend Charlie Shanks, was in New York for a couple years there on the pro tour.
3 play 1.
It did a lot for his game, and he obviously he's
Short.
playing really well.
Call short. I call the serve short. They both disagreed. 2 serves.
Yeah, that was a good serve.
3-1.
Now, you have watched Paul Brady throughout the years, of course. Top players watch top players. Is there something you can take from his game?
4-1.
Even though you might have contrasting styles, you're more of like, if we're going to compare Irish players, men to yourself, you would be more like a Tony Healy.
5-1.
There's not a lot of people like Paul Brady, let's face it. But could you watch his match and say, you know what? Yeah, I can pick. I'm going to see if I can try to do that because, or maybe a guy like Dave Fink earlier. You are a lefty just like Fink. Can you pick up something later in your career?
Oh, absolutely. You can always be picking up stuff. So
Second serve.
My thing right now is I've been, after not playing for a few years and not really taking it seriously, I started playing some big ball outdoor stuff, which has really sort of taught me to cut the ball off and try to put some pressure on the front court. So as you see Paul playing, you'll see that he goes for a lot of low kills like that. That is something that I need to get back in my game right now because I haven't been doing it. So.
But I also noticed with Paul that he overly plays close to the front wall and really challenges you to take shots he wants you to take.
Point.
And he's not in the discussion of the Dave Chapman great anticipation or the Tony Healy great anticipation, but he's almost doing something different. He's almost getting into your head, and he's always there. I mean, he's getting the ball because he's making you hit it to him, so he has great anticipation. He's anticipating what you're going to do on your next shot.
Yeah.
So I think he's right up there in that discussion. He should be, at least. I mean, look how far even on that little flub back, he knew where Cooney was going to hit it immediately, but he stayed right up front with it.
And then forces you to almost take a different shot than maybe what you want, which then pushes the ball right to yourself.
Have you ever seen anybody
Wow.
set up to a ball and looks so good at doing so as Paul Brady right there in that right corner kill?
10-1.
10-1, and I think we're only 4 minutes into it, so
Very fast
First timeout
rallies.
scores 11-1. 1 minute.
I might have to make an executive decision and walk in here and tell both of these players, you are going to have to take all of your timeouts. If not, we're going to have to bring the clowns and the trampoline in here and fill time, and we have a time slot here.
You could do a dance,
I'm not very good at that, though.
but you look very nice today.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, sometimes you have to take a shower. And I figure, you know, day number 3 at one of these events is shower day. No matter where you're at. If you're at an event, on the 3rd day, you better take a shower.
But today's day 2.
Well, not for me.
Oh, for you.
Yeah, it started earlier than that.
Yes,
we had
true.
long days. We had to prepare all the draws and create the broadcast schedule and do board meetings and phone conferences, things that you as, can I say what profession you're in? In the armed enforcement profession, you don't have board meetings and teleconferences.
All right, resuming
Well, we
play.
You just
do.
arrest people and throw them in jail.
11-1.
Not really, Dave. People might think
There
that's
are
what
no
I do.
meetings where you just sit there with a
I sit at my desk and type on a
radar
computer.
gun, radar gun, and handcuffs. That's what you do for a living. There is no day number 3 for you.
That's what
It's-
you like to think I do.
1 plays 11.
Well, he took that time
Hold
out
it.
and got a
Bad
side
bounce.
out right away.
Replay.
There is a bad bounce. Yeah, timeout. Came back
1
and
plays 11.
got back into the box. Steve Cooney has 1. Paul Brady has 11. Look at that. I mean, is there even a weakness? I mean, what can you do?
Where do you
11
serve?
plays 1.
See, now, Paul totally mishit that ball, but
did.
I could never do that
Second serve.
if I tried or not tried, ever. I've never hit it that low. Even when Paul misses bad, he does it perfect.
But you put a lot of hop on the ball when you
Well,
want.
12 plays 1.
maybe once a long time ago, but 12-1 here. That's a nice shot right there,
Ooh.
Cooney, but dug
Oh,
out from Paul
nice call,
Brady. He
thank you.
calls 2 bounces because he's a gentleman. Paul Brady yesterday was able to sit down with
1 plays 12.
Pat Kirby, the great Pat Kirby. He's right out in the lobby right now watching this match. And I know,
Oh,
Jessica,
really?
you probably are like, I didn't even know
I
that was
didn't know
him.
he was here.
Okay, so when we get, well, we should get Pat on
Pat
the
Kirby
broadcast,
should be.
right? Why are you sitting here?
I
Oh,
don't
no,
know because I was the last one. You was my
plays
your
no.
last pick.
No, I'm thinking I was going to have you go get him, but you don't know who he is. Now, he's standing about 10 feet away from us, in fact, and I shook his hand, gave him a hug, and he's thinking to himself, who are you?
3 plays 12.
You're the DV guy everyone's talking about.
He doesn't know. This is a big setup for Cooney, who has the opportunity, does not capitalize. No screen called from the referee. Paul pushing Cooney left to right here. And you
Side
can
out.
just see how good Paul Brady is. He could have taken a screen call there early. You can see that
12
he
plays
almost
3.
kind of flinched to look at the referee, but there's a rare miss there. That's that left elbow of Paul's that got tweaked at the U.S. Open when he went for that long
3
backswing.
plays 12.
And I thought he snapped his arm, as in broke it, but Paul should have the nickname of the machine
12
because
plays 3.
when an item breaks on his body,
Point.
somebody goes in there and repairs it, and it still works the same as it did when it was not
13
broken.
plays 3.
Puts a brace on it and keeps going.
Yeah, I put a brace on mine and didn't work at all.
Didn't work.
So I'm broadcasting instead.
Yep.
Wow.
Point.
So that's the stuff that you can learn from your game, saying,
Yes.
I get into those positions, I might
Game
want to hit a
point,
fish
serves
shot to
3.
the ceiling or something. You know, he goes right for it.
Right for the kill.
He has it, he goes for it.
Side
And
out.
there's a side out at game point.
Three plays 14.
Oh, that's a nice
Wow.
right corner kill. Steve Cooney really has no serve against Paul Brady.
Game point.
He might have to
serves
go to a
3.
lob serve down the left. Keep Paul with his hand over his head.
Both of these guys have injuries. Steve Cooney's got bone bruises on both of his hands. He said, you know, I just talked to him right before he walked in. He said, when you can't use both of your hands and you play handball, it's really bad. I said, what are you going to do? He said, this is, you know, the last match I'll ever play in my life. That's how I'm looking at it. So I don't care if it hurts. It'll repair later.
And those bone bruises, when you've got one, when the ball hits right on it, it's quite painful.
Oh, it's brutal. There's no doubt about that.
Game point, serves 3.
We are at game point, Jessica. And it's only been 11 minutes here. That's how
hold it, replay.
dominating Paul Brady is. And when you are playing against somebody who's also very fast in the court,
game point, serves 3.
Serve, shoot, and they're scoring points, it kind of works into your head in the wrong way. It's hard to get through all of that. What do you do as a KG veteran?
Replay.
Well, when something like that happens, I think of Dave Chapman. Dave would slow the game down and punch everything to the ceiling and make it really slow. Go to the lob serves, slow it down completely to try to get the other person out of their fast-paced action that they want.
Start asking for the towel, creating, you know, discussions
well, I wouldn't ask for the towel. I wouldn't ask for the towel or tie my shoe, but you just want to slow. Like Paul likes to shoot and play fast, so I would say if it's, you know, if I want to get him out of his game, I'm going to have to try to slow the ball down and put it up to the ceiling.
Okay. Well, that's what I think we should all do. I'm trying to slow it down now by asking these softball questions, so I don't have to talk all day long. Just joking. It's the end of game number 1. Paul Brady takes down Stephen Cooney there, 15-3 in 11 minutes and what are they saying? 43 seconds. 43 so that's pretty good. That's pretty fast. We have another one coming up right around the corner. 2 minutes away, they're telling me already. So we'll take a break. For Jessica Gawley, my name is Dave Vincent here on ESPN and the Watch ESPN app. It's the World Players of Handball streaming live with the Race 48 Pro Tour. We'll be back in about 2 minutes. Stick with us.
The Tucson Racket Club is your home away from home. Join us for world-class tennis, handball, racquetball, and the new rage, pickleball. Or try one of our 160 weekly group exercise classes. Want to swim laps or play with your family in the pool? Enjoy our 2 junior Olympic-sized pools and wading pool that are open year-round. Then round out the perfect day with a delicious meal at our restaurant or sports bar. All at the Tucson Racket and Fitness Club, where Country Club Road ends and fitness begins.
Rethink what you know about this Vegas icon. Elevate your expectations at the Stratosphere Hotel, Casino, and Tower. See what's new, up, down, and all around.
In 1905, Thomas Beverly Pennock settled out west to start a family construction business. Over 100 years and 5 generations later, T.B. Pennock & Sons continues on today. From our world-class concrete at the San Diego airport to our recovery efforts in New York after Hurricane Sandy. We take pride in what we build, and we will never forget who we build for. We are T.B. Pennock & Sons.
Returning here mid-rally of the second game. Referee not following the stopwatch. Oh, and a nice behind-the-back shot for Paul Brady. Paul wins the first one 15-3 and wins that opening rally, making Steve Cooney run all over the place in the process.
2-0.
Such a great opening rally that Paul got 2 points.
Steven must have decided he didn't want to take the full 3 minutes in between games and just get back in and start playing.
That's a $6,000 fine for the referee. So.
$6,000.
You know, in handball, everything's a little bit, less expensive than other top sports. 6,000, that's not much.
It's not bad.
Of course, now we're not paying the referee, so this is going to be really tough for him. And there's another point now. Paul Brady getting up to 4 here in game number 2.
4-0.
How are the guys liking the 15-point games so far. Have you talked to them about it?
Well, they complain about everything, but this is one thing they haven't complained about, so I'm taking that as a good sign.
5-0 here already. This
Five
might be
play
shorter
Only-
than 11
Only
minutes.
3-0 for us.
Only
So,
3-0 for us, yes.
We might have to go in there and say, you know, the
You got to go
first-
back 2 points.
First two didn't count.
6, play 0.
We could see Paul stay in the service box this whole game.
Okay, now be nice. Steve's mom is watching. Back in Ireland. Nice shot right there from Steve
There we go.
Cooney. One thing you have to admire about Paul Brady is there's not a lot of talking to the referee or the other player. I mean, he's in there. He has business to take
0,
care of.
play 6.
He's not there for a chat session.
Very focused.
You see other players like Marco Chavez who want to go there and just chat, have a good time, and, you know, handball's fun to them. It's a social gathering.
This is all business for Paul.
1, play 6.
Well, Steven got on the board here at 1.
Short. Second serve.
Paul Brady
Steven,
walking back into that server's box slowly here, but
6, play 1.
go ahead, Steve
I was
Cooney.
going to say, Steve Cooney just missed that back wall left side.
Second serve.
Well, I thought the ref might call a hinder there.
Well, he
Paul
let
looked
Paul,
like he kind of held
yeah.
up a little.
He let Paul play it, but
7, play 1.
I was thinking about, you know, Cooney also kind of got out of the way. I mean, he was in the way, but then tried to get out, but kind of surprised that you didn't see somebody complain. And there's nothing Cooney can do there. Brady just powers that ball past you. Does it work out differently in the psyche? You've played for such
8,
a long
play
time.
1.
But some of these players, they strive to play at Paul Brady's level, and then they play Paul, and this happens to them. Is it almost like, okay,
I'm not quite there yet.
yeah, someone says it's time to go back to the drawing board, but what happens if there's no drawing board? I mean, you realize,
That he's just too good.
I mean, I can't compete against this. I mean,
Yeah.
this is like a guy hitting the ball with a racket, in a way.
But I think a lot of athletes,
9,
especially in the
play
sport of
1.
handball, enjoy playing so much that they don't have that mentality. Steven will finish here and he'll, you know, maybe get 1 or 2 points, and I think he'll go back and he'll train and he'll do things that he can do. So the
10,
next time he
play
comes to
1.
play Paul, he might say, well, I want to get 6 points.
Short. Short, yeah.
I don't want to make this about me, but I was talking to, and actually got done
Second
playing
serve.
Sean Linning, who's been ranked #1 previously, still, you know, right in his 20s, late 20s. And I played Sean, and, you know, he killed me, and I got like 4 or 5 points, and I said to him, you know,
11,
when you
play
get
1.
old, you can't do anything when you get old. He goes, you were just like this when you were young. And then it made me realize that it was true. I played Sean back in those days when I was young, and I got the same scores. And then I thought, what is all of this 15 and 20 years
12,
of really
play 1.
playing hard, trying to get better, has ever done to me? I'm still the same guy I used to be.
But
you
maybe
know?
you haven't developed any different shots.
Yeah, I know. I need to work on it.
You need to work on a couple
That's what I'm
things.
saying. What happens if you don't have a drawing board? What if you don't know what you need to do? I mean, just watching Paul doesn't mean that you can figure out how to
No.
play, because he does things that only he knows. Just like Chapman and Healy and the greats have always played. Look at Paul just moving
Oh,
Cooney back and forth, and there's a round of applause from the crowd there.
yeah, he's running him all over the court.
1, play 12.
Oh, backhanded fist. Oh, and he missed. That gives him 13.
Yeah, Paul does
Steven's
that.
looking like he's starting to get
12,
tired.
play 1.
Yeah. And you would think a guy just serving hard like this wouldn't make you tired, but it's sort of different. He's like, Paul takes a guy that's a long distance runner that can last, you know, 4 or 5 rounds in a tournament and always,
1,
you know,
play 12.
make these amazing gets, and he's going side to side and doing all those. He can say, you're a long distance runner, but I'm going to make you a sprinter today, and let's see how you can play when you're on the run.
Right.
You know, playing on the run where you're diving and that's the last shot of a rally is a lot different than diving, getting up, running, diving again, getting up, running over there. You know,
Okay,
and then
Exactly.
your first time out.
Paul
Scores
just has this
12.
way of saying to
1
you,
minute.
I'm going to make you do all these things. And
Get you uncomfortable
Yeah,
from where you normally are.
but you're going to have to get your heart rate up when you play me. So it's completely different. I mean, those are the things that you don't know until you play a guy like that. And I think what happens is, you know, Paul Brady has this sort of knack about him that he's going to put it on turbo boost at all times, and he's going to force you to go side to side, and you are going to play his game, and there's no other game that is going to happen in this court other than the one I'm going to give you.
Right.
We saw a rare exception to that. You did too courtside in Salt Lake City when Mondo Ortiz defeated Paul Brady. Mondo did something very rare that we haven't seen in about 9 years, and that was, I'm going to dictate the flow, and I'm going to change up the speeds. I'm going to slow it down. I'm going to make you play my game. And
Right.
by the way, my game's a lot like your game, but I'm going to do it a little bit differently. And you
30
saw
seconds.
Mondo say, I'm going to lob serve you, and I'm going to take your weak return. I'm going to attack it. And during the rallies, I'm going to do what you do to other people. I'm going to push you around. And
Yeah.
and you saw that Paul was almost like,
What's going on?
Yeah, I've known nobody does
Wasn't
this.
ready for
right?
it. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it can be done. It's not easy to do.
Right. But you have to have that high level of player that's going to be able to do that and stick with that
All
plan.
right, resuming
Because
play.
Paul's so versatile that if Steven goes right now, it
Two,
looks
play
like he's probably
12.
going to go to a.
No, 2. The last one was a side up.
Looks like he maybe he's going to go for a lob serve here to try to slow the game down. But Paul is such a good versatile player that he can switch and play that lob game
I think it was his
until he gets
his
the
serve,
shot
yeah.
that he wants, and then go back to the power
I think it
game.
was I think it was on his serve.
And
That's a
disagreement
little-
on who was
Yeah, I
serving
have
before the
2.
timeout.
Our
2-12.
I'm actually agreeing with the referee, which is very rare for me. Although I wish that Cooney had 3. So
Right.
I'm still kind of
Debating which
waffling.
side you want to
I'm
go.
waffling. Oh, terrible overhit from Cooney.
Oh,
and then
and
Paul
Paul.
gives him the double terrible back at him.
Whoa,
Missed
he
shot.
had him on his back. Could have gone straight down that right wall.
3-12.
Oh, that was a nice shot from Paul, dug out though from Cooney, and Paul's going to push him to the backcourt. That's what I'm telling you. You're up front, and then you have to go back, and it's very difficult to hit a ball when you're running forward and back side to side. And Cooney goes for a rare kill, which is almost what you have to do because you just can't keep this pace up.
12-3.
Exactly.
Paul's making Steve take shots he doesn't want to take, like you said earlier.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, Paul hits the ball 100 miles an hour, and you can hear it just smacking in the court here. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not 100, but it's the hardest hitter in the
Here.
game. You'd have to say that, right? I mean,
13-3.
literally stepping into this ball as hard as anybody I've seen.
Oh,
No.
No, Steve threw that ball to the front wall.
Match point serves 3.
And this is a quick
Short.
disposal, I believe, of Steve Cooney with that first short call there. But
Second serve.
Paul Brady doing what I think most thought he would to an injured Steve Cooney. And this is going to be a setup. Steve will take this off the back wall, go bottom board, doesn't slice it down the right instead. Paul flips it with the left to the front, gets it. Now we're back to the roof. Nice shot. Do you call
There
it
we
roof
go.
in Canada or ceiling?
ceiling.
So I would too, because here in North America, that's what we do. But this is an all-Irish
serves, 14.
quarterfinal, so you have to,
And they call it a roof.
they call it a roof there. You have to say that. It's an amazing
But the Irish say a lot of.
stuff that I
weird
wish
things.
well, I don't know.
Match point serves 3.
And we see Paul here now going with the lob serve, which wasn't a great serve, Dave.
Well, if you are going to break out a lob, you might want to do it in this match. But
3 serves 14.
Maybe keep it against the wall. Now, if you're Paul, Dave, do you think he's looking at who he's playing next at the end of this
4
rally?
serves 14.
At the end of this match here, trying to maybe play with some stuff on, should I try some lobs, try to get used to it for my next opponent?
well, yeah, I've talked to Paul about this sort of stuff. He would never admit either way. So
Right.
you would just ask my opinion. I think Paul saw the draws and immediately took that little computer chip out, stuck it in his body, and he has prepared before the tournament started.
You know
Exactly who and what would happen and transpire up to this point. I think there were some games that were 50-50 in his mind. He didn't really know what would happen, but he still put that in the computer anyway. So, yeah, he's thinking about it. This lob serve thing that he's doing.
Down ball, match.
There it is. Oh. It's a down ball. Ball didn't make the front wall, skipped in. I think out of respect, Paul was doing something there with the lob serve, affording Steve a little bit more TV time, but also not going to go in there and try to crush him when you're up 15-2 or 3. I'm not going to go for that elite crack serve. I'm just going to lob this in and let this thing develop in its own way. So I think Paul did that there at the very end. We're going to take a quick break. It was Paul Brady over his foe there from Ireland, the countryman, Steve Cooney. We're going to take a break. Hopefully we can get Paul right into this broadcast booth and see if we can get that chair that you're sitting on more wet than the previous person that came in here. And you know, they sweat, and then you sit down and you go, was somebody sitting in, is it raining in here? Are the sprinklers on?
We might need a towel to put on the chair.
Has the fire department been called? I just need to know. These are the things that we're supposed to go. Okay, so we're going to try to see if we can find Paul. And he's going to make his way into this broadcast booth, hopefully, because he knows what his duties are. And I guess we don't have to leave because he is coming. So, Jessica, I want to thank you for your sitting in and doing your thing here in the broadcast booth. This is ESPN, the Watch ESPN app, and the men's quarterfinal match. We do want to say thanks and appreciation to our crew that is helping out, Chris Garat, as well as Linda Manning and Matt Tatiano, as we get Paul in here. Paul, nice seeing you again.
Yeah.
That was a nice win there. It's probably what is expected. I know Cooney's family watching it back home, so you can't be too rude. But this is what you wanted. You wanted to go in there and get a real quick quarterfinal match so you can go into the semifinals and face now, I believe, Dave Fink.
That's right, yeah. I just wanted to make sure everything went to plan, so thankfully it did.
How's your body? How's your health right now?
I feel good. Just my arms are a wee bit sore, but other than that, ready to play.
Tell us about Tucson. You came out here and after the U.S. Open, before the U.S. Open, you had a chance to maybe do some Zen moment stuff where you're going to think about life and your direction and in which way you're heading, and then you go into the tour here. I mean, I know it's a relaxing time, but it's also time to train a little bit for this tour. How has Tucson been treating you?
It's great. The people here have been so nice to me. Really took care of me, and I got to see a lot of the sights here. It's a lovely city, so I've really enjoyed my time here, and I look forward to coming back.
What are you doing to train as you prepare for the tournament? Have you been hitting the golf ball across the?
No, unfortunately my arm didn't allow me to play. I was planning to play a lot of golf, but I had to just kind of rest. So I've just been resting up and just lying in the sun, taking it easy. I don't get much sun back home, so.
And there's also been a real unfortunate thing that happened, Paul, when there was a family member that passed away back home, and that's kind of worked its way into.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. So I just couldn't get home in time, so I had to stay here. So that's it. I just deal with all that when I get back.
How do you deal with that stuff when you go into competition? Because the way I look at it sometimes is this game is a selfish game because we have a goal. We're doing it selfishly for ourselves to do, to fulfill our goal. And then you say, I've got this thing back home that's I need to take, I need to go out here. And how do I choose which one? This one chose itself because you really couldn't get a flight back home in time. So how do you deal with that pressure, your inner pressure with yourself of saying, this is the thing I need to do and this is the thing I'm forced to do, and I really don't want to do this handball tournament right now, and rise above all that and get into the next level?
I suppose it was difficult enough last weekend. I was with my brother in Vegas when I got the news, so at least we were together at the time. And then when I got here, I went to church, and I just, then eventually you just have to put it to one side and concentrate on this, and then deal with that when you get back. So just at this point, it's only another 24 hours. I just have to stay focused on the match this evening and whatever match I have in the morning. Hopefully it's the finals. So you just live hour to hour, and all in all I'm thinking I was in my semi-final.
Let's think about really quickly your injuries. Let's do a little checklist. How is this working?
Everything's perfect. Everything's
you get up there in age and you start hearing about all of those things that people used to say back when you were younger, when they'd say, when you get old, you'll find out, what it's like to have an injury. And then all of a sudden you get old, and when you're young, you say, nah, they don't know what they're talking about. But then there's always these nagging things, bone bruises, elbow issue. How do you get by all that stuff when you're in the court? Because it doesn't really appear that you ever are injured after an injury. You seem to either mentally go over it or you find a way to mask it somehow.
No, obviously as you get older, you just train a little bit differently, rest a wee bit more. But definitely my knees and my joints are. Luckily enough, my hips are good, but my knees do be a bit creaky at times, and my elbows. But you just train differently. Take some fish oils and just rest a bit more. But when I'm in there, I don't. You just forget about whatever creaks they're there. You're just there to win, and that overrides everything. The motivation, the need to win, overrides any injury. It doesn't exist.
Strange bracket here. You had to play an Irishman, Steve Cooney, in this round, and then Emmett Pachot's going up against Sean Lenning, which is like a longtime rival, and then we have Luis Moreno and Abraham Montijo playing each other. It's almost like you think there could be some flips, but then I was trying to explain this to people that are at home wondering about the draws of how you have two hometown club members playing each other and then two guys from Ireland playing each other. It's a random draw, number one, Paul, but the second thing is there are 4 guys in the round of 8 right now from Tucson. I mean, with Sean Lenning and Abraham and Dave Fink and Luis Moreno. So, of course, somebody's going to have to play somebody. And then we have 2 guys from Ireland, so 6 out of 8 are really kind of centrally located or regionally located.
As you say, it was a blind draw, so it just Stephen had a good win yesterday. So, he deserved obviously to be in the quarter final. It just shows the strength of Handball here since Sean Lenning moved here. Obviously they're obviously playing a lot more with each other, and you can see how it's benefiting all 4 of them. So I expect them even to get better as the year goes on, the season goes on. They're going to be playing each other all the time. After Christmas, I suppose coming from Ireland, we're going to have to train a little bit harder because they're going to be in better shape come January, February. So. Like I say, it just shows how strong it is here at the minute in Tucson.
Well, we want to thank you for stopping by the booth.
Okay,
and
thanks.
I think this interview lasted longer than the match, but we certainly will be catching you, I believe, tonight at 4:30 Arizona time as you'll be going up against Dave Fink. You played him in practice about 3 days ago down here at the club, same court, and Dave scored some points and felt good about that. I think that helped him more than it helped you probably, but is there something about the intensity? We have the 2 most intense players probably. You keep your emotions inside, he puts them on the outside, but you play like very intense. Do you like that ground and pound style that he has?
I don't focus on him. I'm just getting myself ready. Obviously that was training last weekend. This is going to be competition, and hopefully it'll be a different intensity. So I'm just going to get myself ready and take it as it comes.
Okay, well, you were talking about having those creaks in the elbows and the joints, trying to get them to work right. Well, Arizona is a perfect place for you right now. I know you have a cool down session that you do, but if you go outside and to sit in one of those lawn chairs overlooking the pool, that could be a great.
I think I might do that.
You might want to work that into your regimen.
Jump in the pool for a few minutes.
Congratulations,
David.
Paul Brady. Once again, back into the semifinals. He's going to take a break for a few hours, and then he'll be back, and we will catch it live right here on ESPN and the Watch ESPN app. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with another great quarterfinal match right around the corner with the World Players of Handball.